Hello and welcome to the Fallout Show podcast. We are a podcast about the Fallout TV show as well as all things Fallout. I am Nikki, also known as Tunnelsnakesfool, here with
Naiwal and Ian. Either one works.
Awesome. So a couple days ago, I got some images from someone in my Discord server, actually, that said, I have a friend who was near the Fallout TV show or working for the Fallout TV show, and they have some images similar to a couple other ones we got in July, and I believe these were taken in July. And let me make sure to get the name because he did want his name included.
For folks at home, this is disturbing. Okay. No, it's not disturbing. It's not by any means.
And it's
I kind of wish it was disturbing because that'd be, more stuff to work with.
The name is NullValue is the name of the person who has leaked said information. Obviously, if you are listening to the audio version of the podcast, go check out our social media pages. I will post the image there when this drops as well, so you can see what we are referencing. Ian has some strong opinions on the Pipboys that are visible in this image, and I would love to hear them.
Yeah, we gotta talk about this. Hold on, I'm about to destroy this thing like it was a kid in elementary school. Okay, so just looking at this thing, why is this screen so small? Why is it so small? Okay, I get it. We've been playing blocky games for a little bit, and they're always so gargantuan. You mean to tell me that the replica I've been using isn't true? Right. It's massive, even for me, and I'm a bigger guy, and I'm looking at this thing. It's straight up Fallout 3's Pipboy.
Yeah, it is definitely.
Am I tripping?
I believe you are correct that it is Fallout 3's Pipboy 3000. I don't think it's a mark anything. I might have to double check that one. It's tiny. I mean, compared to maybe it's. I don't think this guy's very tall, but compared to the person, it looks very small.
I'm thinking about it because I'm like, okay, this is something that you're supposed to interact with pretty frequently.
Yes.
The knobs, the knobbies and the turnies and the buttons, tiny. There's no way. So, and I look at it and somehow it does the job of making everyone look like a Fallout 3 NPC. I don't know how.
It's true.
But that thing alone.
Like when you see an NPC walking around with their Pipboy and all you can see is like the stats menu and Vault Boy's got his little arms out. It really does look like that. It is definitely, I think it's a 3000. I'll put it up for reference. 3000, but without the hand piece. Because Fallout 3's Pipboy does have a hand piece, a knob, which it's on most people's non-dot. It's just an awkward thing to use, but it looks a lot like that. I'm trying to get real close and personal with it. It's also, like you said, the tiny screen. I don't even think I can see a screen in any of the images we have of them. It kind of looks like a dummy screen.
On the one with our quote unquote potential Walter.
Yes.
The full one, the guy who's walking in front of him, that's the one I'm looking at. That Pipboy in particular. And I'm just looking at its proportion to his hand, man. Like, I don't know. I feel like his hand is bigger than the goddamn Pipboy. It's just,
it's huge. He is. I mean, there's a guy next to him who proportionally doesn't look that tall, and I mean, it's. I believe everybody with a lab coat on has a Pipboy. We could see, I don't know, about a dozen people with lab coats in this image, and then a couple security guards, like the white helmets. They don't appear to have Pipboys on.
One of them's really chilling. He's just leaning. That helmet covers his eyes. He can't see nothing.
And yeah, the Pipboys are incredibly small. No screen. So clearly they didn't make a bunch of tiny fake computers for everybody to wear around. Probably would be a disaster for props. I'm imagining they're going to add that in post. Otherwise, it's going to be very bad looking.
Do you think they're going to try to explain how Vats works?
Oh, that would be amazing. I would love if they did that. I do hope that we're going to get some ragdoll kind of mechanics. And I hope they aren't trying to lean towards realism and are more trying to lean towards like the game bro or game whatever that game
Yeah.
Brio engine.
That would probably be the most effective way to do it, honestly, is embrace the roots a little bit. I mean, have fun with the gagginess that is embedded with, having a Pip-Boy, that's for sure. Bloody. Let's see some bloody mess. Let's see perks and traits.
I want to see an arm fly off as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just an arm.
Yeah.
That's what
I want to see a junk jet. I want to see the railway rifle. Wow, I actually said that on the first try. I never ever say that correctly on the first try. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I want to nail a whole head to a wall. I want to see that.
Yeah.
So we do have a bit of a theory that one of the people in this image is a main character or a main character stand-in. So in the far right of the image, there is someone who looks a lot like Walton Goggins. I'm thinking, I don't know where you're at fully, but we were thinking the hairline and the jaw were strikingly similar. This guy might have a little bit more
forehead, hair. Guys. I'm not even trying to be rude as someone with a big forehead. Nah, that it's almost you can't escape it, and it's like I look at the other pictures of him, the chin, but like I think the only thing that might be giving me second
wrinkly too, and Walton Goggins is definitely he's not a young man, he has wrinkles, so and that guy you can see even from a distance as well. We might just be over speculating.
Oh yeah, we're but I mean, what else can we do right now? The show's not out. And I think just another thing is like, doesn't seem to have the same looking nose. That's probably be the only thing that I'd be like, his nose a little bit more, not quite as, no offense to the guy who pictured this, is quite as big. Kind of talk about our little theory that we were talking over, which I mean.
So because of this image, we started to speculate, are we going to get because Walton is cast as a ghoul. He's posted a picture of himself in Instagram with the word ghoul next to him. He's playing a ghoul. We're seeing a lot of what looks like either very close to right after the bombs have dropped or before imagery from this show. Are we going to get some flashbacks?
Honestly, my whole thought on that is I think we're going to see the progression of a man turning into a ghoul. I think what you'll see is that this is at some point, this ghoul character, no name, was at some point either a scientist or was in this vault and part of some kind of horrible experiment. My thought was like, maybe he was a scientist. Maybe he did some horrible, experiments, in a vault on some people, and karma has come for him essentially. And he, as with most vaults, the fusion reactor somehow has a meltdown and everyone inside turns into some kind of ghoul. That seems to be a very common thing that happens in a lot of vaults. And then you find out what happened in those vaults after, which maybe we don't even fully know what he did until later on in the show, because his past comes up to haunt him because of that. Once again, just a big theory, but I feel like in terms of a story structure, that would be a nice way to go, because you can also, like, as he's like slowly progressing into this very like ghoul state, is you see different characters get introduced throughout the wasteland as he's trying to make his way, somewhere else, because maybe he found, maybe whatever problem was going on in his vault, maybe the answer was on the East Coast versus the West Coast. Maybe this is why we heard some stuff in Nevada too. So if you go into their IMDb page, it does say that they did film in Vegas. I think if they filmed in Vegas proper, we would know about it, unless it was on a studio set, or maybe the studio was based in Vegas and they actually filmed elsewhere in Nevada. Sorry. Nevada.
Yeah.
My bad.
No, you're
my
good.
Bad too. I meant to say Nevada, not.
I think I heard you saying it and then I said it.
Exactly.
I think this image, we're kind of grasping, but if this is Walton and he's not a ghoul, which it backs up that theory that you just laid out so eloquently, like, that's what I've thought since the show was announced, or at least hoped, because I think what a lot of people in the Fallout fandom are kind of like searching for is like, I want to know how what happened right before and right after the bombs dropped and how people handled it and how chaotic it was.
How would you feel if this show confirms the Vault Tech dropping the bombs first theory?
I don't think I'd be mad. I'm not like one of those Star Wars fans who's like, no, it wasn't Han, and they re-edited that scene, that kind of thing. Like, I think there's a lot of fans who get pretty rabid about that one, but I don't
really, because I would have thought a lot of people were on board with it, because I'm like, Vault Tech had so many vaults ready to go, money was put into it, and the only way they could ensure they got their money's worth was by putting everyone else in a vault. How do you do that? Let's drop the bombs.
Yeah. And the evidence to support this theory in the lore side of things is like, oh, they were a government subcontract. The government became the Enclave. They were going to be evacuated to the oil rigs, so they knew they were going to be safe. Like, all these different factors, obviously, for the most part, did not pan out because all of the vault experiments kind of went. I would not be mad. I think it would be interesting, and it would make sense if they're part of the government in some way. They probably had some form of pull within the government.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I want to see that power structure. I want to see that. And I think it would be a good opportunity if they went really close to everything going down, which we don't have an extreme amount of info on. We could get a show that doesn't retcon stuff that's happened in Fallout 3 or 4 or whatever. It just is adding info.
And something actually I meant to draw attention to in this picture is it's outside.
Mm-hmm.
It's not in a vault.
No. And I don't think it could be shot in any way to, unless they
would have done something with the walls, which to edit out that many people and make it look good, it would take a lot of work.
And we do know there are vault sets anyway. We've seen the pictures,
so why wouldn't they use those? And typically you don't see vault scientists going outside.
True.
It very well, this could just be an Enclave facility.
You know what I'm noticing in this image that I didn't notice before? Zoom in on the gurney, that gurney is double the size of a person. Look at how long it is. Are you seeing that? Like, the guy pushing it is that is a long gurney. That could be a super mutant.
Holy crap. Hold up. Let me use the snip tool, and I'm gonna
measure it.
And lay him out on top of it. No, I don't even need to do that. You're right.
Look at how, and it almost looks like, maybe I'm wrong, but it does look like there's feet at the end where there's something draped over. So the whole length of that gurney has something on it. That is an objectively big gurney, right? Oh, I think we're getting the super mutant vault now. I'm getting excited.
I know, because I'm like, it honestly makes you think. So, which, with the idea of Marcus maybe being a super mutant.
Mm-hmm. Or Maximus.
Or Maximus, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I said Marcus. My bad.
He's also a super mutant.
He is a super mutant. Maximus. So with Maximus being a super mutant.
Maybe.
And a ghoul, a super mutant and a ghoul traveling the wasteland together.
Oh, this is exciting me.
I feel like that would be a very interesting approach to do.
Uh-huh. Unless that guy is just a very short king. That is something big's on that thing. Something.
Yeah. That is pretty nutty. Because I was like, even how long that thing is compared to the people closer, like in the forefront.
Mm-hmm. It's huge.
It's still big. So I don't know. I think I definitely could see the potential in a ghoul super mutant buddy cop kind of story.
Yes.
Because in the wasteland, those two would be so widely judged.
And
I can't see them getting away with a lot.
No, and I think they would make a good team. It's just making me going down the rabbit hole of speculation, because if that is Walton or his stand-in, the ghoul character, the evidence that I think that is obviously the guy looks a lot like him. It might not be him, but there's mics over him and not over any other part of the set.
Mm-hmm.
So that seems like the action point. There seems to be like a PA or a director or someone also standing right near there and right behind them. And I'm wondering if this guy's going to be doing some form of experiments on this ghoul and then kind of get a change of heart and like try and help him out of the vault. I'm excited for when this airs to go back and be like, oh, we were so wrong. But maybe
I know exactly. We were so wrong. It's like we need more leaky leaks.
Yeah.
Question: Have you gotten on Reddit to see if anyone's just dropped random leaks?
I have seen pretty much everything that's out there. Like I have on a file on my computer right now. And then I have been getting a lot of like weird DMs from people, mostly on Instagram, who are like, my friend's on this show, blah blah blah. My cousin, you know, these kind of things. You remember in early COVID when someone was like, all right, the military is going to shut down all the borders kind of thing. It was like a friend of a friend sending out that text. That it feels like that same energy where it doesn't, there's not like a definitive source. Like, what is happening? This show is leaking like crazy. And I don't think this one was, but those inside the vault pictures were so intentional. I think we've discussed this before. They're leaking on purpose. And I wonder if they're also like trying to bait and switch us a little bit on the leaks that they're doing. We can go more into the other stuff we see in this image. Obviously, we can see some like set people. There's cones. I doubt the cones are going to be in the show. That would be very odd.
Give me the cones.
They're not weathered at all. The other potential for this too could be if it is weathered and aged like this. I mean, other than stuff very close to the blast radius, it has windows, so those would be gone. Is it something that's been there for a long time and they're now venturing outside of the vault? It's very interesting.
Or is it just an off the grid, or is this an off the grid Enclave base before the bombs fell? You know, just like you said.
Also see warning. I think it says entering hazard. And then there's like a biohazard symbol. I'm pretty sure that is the biohazard symbol.
Yeah, that is biohazard.
Which is another interesting thing. Yeah, it is biohazard. Oh my gosh. It's exact. It's weird that I can recognize that. Yeah.
You play video games. It shouldn't be too weird. Too.
I'm like, oh no, it's because I'm HasWhopper 40-hour certified. So the biohazard symbol is an interesting thing for me because I'm more and more leaning that this vault has something to do or experiment, not necessarily a vault, although I would say it's a high likelihood it's a vault. We see Vault 33 and the one promotional image we've gotten, it's someone leaving Vault 33 and someone is dead on the ground. What I'm curious is if this theory stands, is this Walton? Something that you will note for main characters of shows is sometimes their costumes will be a little higher quality. They'll have a little bit more detail. I'm wondering, I know, so it's such a distance. Is that Pipboy look a little different? The color to me looked different, could have been lighting. And he is wearing a dosimeter, which not all of them are wearing. Some of them do have dosimeters on though. And I wonder if those characters are more important.
Or like they're actually showing up in the
and
like showing up on screen, like talking.
Yeah, it's interesting that they're wearing dosimeters. I mean, you're getting a Geiger counter, which is technically different than a dosimeter. As I understand it, these count like the amount of radiation you're receiving. I don't know, fully know, but I know that the thing on their breast pocket, I'm pretty sure is called a dosimeter.
That's in Fallout 4. The jackets, right? Are they also in like Fallout 3 in New Vegas?
I do think we do see that specific. It is a dosimeter. I double checked. And they are definitely on like lab coats in a few of the games. Which is obviously they're very much copying. They're pretty accurate to game
Fallout
design.
3 lab coat. No. So Fallout 3 lab coat, a lot different.
So it's definitely the Fallout 4. Has a black
box. Yeah, so definitely Fallout 4 because
I see it on the Fallout 4 ones. They have their little. But it's interesting that they have both the Geiger counter and the dosimeter, technically different things. Could you tell me? I mean, like, could I tell you exactly why they would need both? I don't know. But interesting little thing.
So the dosimeter does what?
So they're very similar. It says Geiger counter measures low levels of radiation, such as surface contamination. Dosimeters can be the form of a sticker, badge, pen, tube, or even a digital readout. They measure the total accumulated radiation in which you are exposed. So I'm imagining they put those on at the beginning of the day. They do their jobs. At the end of the day, they look at it and they're like, okay, I've gotten this much radiation dose, which again would go into my theory if they are doing something with radiation, that's how he becomes a ghoul, you know? I think we both fully endorse this theory. Editor Nikki here. Ian and I are about to discuss a casting call that was sent to my Instagram DMs. We also made a bingo card in this episode, but I'm going to push that into another episode because I think it's really fun and stands on its own. It's going to be our Fallout TV show wish list, but in a bingo card, and maybe opposite of wish list. So here we are discussing the casting call that I got on Insta. The timeline is actually tomorrow through looks like February 2nd, and it's in Long Island. So this casting call was sent to me on Instagram. Somebody who has been in one show as a background actor got it, and they live in the area, and they're obviously on their list. Once again, we're seeing the code name Hundo, which is interesting. It's a Western.
$165 for 10 hours, god damn.
165. What is that hourly?
I don't know.
I don't think it's great.
$16. $16 basically. No, less than that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a reference to a Western, a show with John Wayne. Which might, I don't know, the fact that it's a reference, we've seen this name before, and it just reinforces that name is attached to the project in some way. Doesn't necessarily mean it's the final name. But I wonder if it being a Western will indicate anything. Be interesting to have a Fallout Western. They say neutral looking hair colors only. I don't think that's that interesting. Kind of just medium build people, no tattoos. They're working from tomorrow. So if I mean, like, people in the Long Island area might be seeing this tomorrow through the 2nd of Feb. Not the greatest pay.
Maybe we should make a call to action tonight on TikTok and say, hey, anyone
filming
who's in
tomorrow,
the Long Island area,
keep an eye out. Something's happening.
They are filming tomorrow.
Yeah.
For the Fallout show. Keep an eye out.
I mean, tomorrow through the 2nd. What else? So they want people in Union, which a lot of people have said that they really want to get in the show. I think you were also one of these people. Try and get in a union if you can. Get in something small and then join the union.
Just do it.
So yeah, and then the biggest interesting thing about this was they wanted raider or farmers, warrior types, and then the other type was farmer types. What a farmer type is, I don't fully know, but I think the warrior types had a little bit bigger build. So that
Nikki, would you be a warrior type or a farmer type?
I think they put me in the farmer type. I think I have too many tattoos to be a farmer, and I'm too small to be a warrior. So I don't know if I'd fit in either.
I like to imagine I'd be a farmer. I feel like I have a gentle face. No, yeah. I always get casted as a villain. I always do. I would have been a raider.
Warrior. Doesn't say raider technically. It says warrior.
Amazon, if you're listening, just pull us on the show, dude. People, we'll be farmer and raider or warrior. Easy.
I think that's about it for the leaks that I've gotten the last couple of weeks. I mean, I am, just to round back out what we were discussing, I am hopeful that might be Walton or Walton's stand-in, and we will see him as a non-ghoul. Hopefully. Where are you at?
I mean, who knows? Maybe that stand-in, just like you said, maybe it's just supposed to be a slightly younger version of Walton, because Walton's he's an older dude.
Mm-hmm.
And then slowly lose. Yeah.
I think one of the bigger revelations is how big that gurney is. Unless there's some forced perspective stuff happening right now, that gurney looks like 2 human sizes long, or maybe 1.5. It's definitely taller.
Or maybe they just don't understand the size of things because look at the Pipboys. So maybe they're winging it, you know?
Yeah, that might be true. Well, I think that's it for our episode. Do you have anything else you wanted to note? I might be able to break this bad boy up into two.
Watch. All I gotta tell you is watch The Boys. Try it. I guarantee, like, there's a reason why a lot of people like that show. I think you'll like it.
From what you've said, it's
it's wild. Trust me, it's plenty wild, but there's also plenty good in it too.
Okay.
It just, yeah. I think that may give you a little bit more hope whenever it comes to the show. I know that I was casting some shadow of doubt over the show because I was like, you know, the rule with TV shows is they gotta screw up, you know, things that would obviously piss off fans. The Halo TV show, they butchered it. Some people really like it, in my opinion, which this is my opinion. If you like the Halo TV show, you have every right to like the Halo TV show. True. It's just there was already a very established premise that they should have just stuck with instead of trying to do their own thing. And that's what I'm like. That's why I'm like, with this show, it's supposed to be its own standalone thing.
Yeah.
Only slightly maybe related to Fallout 3. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm hopeful because of that.
I hope it stands on its own, but I hope those legs are strong. I guess I'll just put it that way.
And it's going to need it. I mean, the good news is, I could very easily see if this is successful and it continues to be successful, I think we'll see other Bethesda title shows be made.
I'm shocked they didn't go Skyrim, to be honest with you.
Listen, they've been milking that
little baby.
That cow has been milked so hard, the only thing coming out of it is blood. Okay? It's just blood.
Oh my god. Yeah, no, I mean I could see that pissing off fans, but maybe it's a little too Game of Thrones-y, you know, like maybe it's like, oh, we can't we don't want to piss off HBO, you know, that kind of deal.
No, it's one of those things. It's like we already had beef with them in the past, apparently, which
with the same showrunners, whatever,
same people. Yeah, I think, and I think in terms of expectations for the show, it's amazing to me how many people who are Fallout fans don't even know that the show is happening.
Yeah.
At all. So yeah, I see so many comments.
I know, every day.
One of it's just like, that's a show? They're really making a show?
Why did you hear about this? It's like, oh wow. It's so funny because the amount of leaks there's so many leaks. Every day I see a new leak. And then the people are like, I didn't know this existed. And I'm like, wow, there's two sides of this going on right now simultaneously. It's very interesting.
I don't think people wanted a show as much as they wanted the next game.
This is their you're gonna have to wait, I think, is what this show is really indicating to Fallout fans everywhere.
Elder Scrolls 6 is next, kids.
Yeah, it's
confirmed. Hate to break it to you.
Yeah,
it is next, and that puppy, I like to imagine that puppy will be out before I am 35.
Fallout or Elder Scrolls?
Elder Scrolls 6.
I'm gonna say it probably will come out right around oh god, I hope it's not that long. I feel like Todd's gonna want to retire at some point, right? He's gonna want to pop these two games out before then. He's not a spring chicken. Sorry, Todd, you look great. But you're older now.
I mean, did you see that interview with Todd Howard? How he was like, you know, he feels bad about how long it's been.
He's 51
since the last Elder Scrolls. God dang, yeah.
I mean, does he want to be in his 60s making these games? I hope not.
Do you remember how quick Fallout 4 came out? Like, it was fast. Like, it was like, what the
It felt like happened? An eternity. It was only like, well, since New Vegas, it was 5 years.
Since New Vegas, 5 years. So I was like, I think I wouldn't want them to make a new, like, alternate titles every year. Because that just becomes, you know, Modern Warfare. But
yeah,
I think a 5-year gap between the two would be nice to have. I would like to say that Starfield comes out this year, 2028.
By the second
Fallout,
quarter.
or no, not Fallout. Elder Scrolls 6. Elder Scrolls 6 should come out, and then after that, 5 years after, we get finally Fallout 5.
So you're saying in
10 years from now,
I will be 40.
And like to imagine we'll still be doing this.
Yeah, I think I probably will.
But professionally and in a studio. And
if the show goes that long.
I like to imagine that.
Yeah. Awesome.
Hey, you know what? We don't need the show. We got each other. We got each other in these video games. Okay.
It's true. All right. I'm going to do a little outro. And then I can stop the recording and hopefully it worked. You know, it's always a gamble.
Never know.
Okay. So you have been watching the Fallout Show podcast. Yes. I am Nikki, also known as Tunnelsnakesfool, and I am here with my lovely co-host. I'm pointing up because that's where you are on my screen.
And I'm pointing up because that's where you are. Naiwal/Ian.
Yay. Thank you for listening. Make sure to follow us everywhere. We're pretty much everywhere. Right?
And remember, don't feed the Yagwai. That's all.
Awesome.